The conference room buzzed with anticipation as our entire marketing team gathered for what everyone assumed would be routine quarterly announcements. I sat in my usual spot, third chair from the head of the table, the same seat I'd occupied for 3 years while climbing the ladder at Meridian Digital. Alex Morrison, our department head, cleared his throat dramatically. Before we dive into Q4 goals, I have some exciting news to share about our team structure. My pulse quickened. For months, Alex had been hinting that the senior marketing director position would be mine. "You're the obvious choice, Zoe," he'd said just last week. "Your Hartwell campaign increased client retention by 34%. The board loves you." I'm pleased to announce that Cassie Walsh will be stepping into our new senior marketing director role, effective immediately. The room fell silent. Someone dropped a pen. I felt the blood drain from my face as every pair of eyes slowly turned toward me, then back to Alex, then to Cassie, the woman who'd been hired 6 months ago as a creative consultant despite having zero marketing experience. Cassie beamed from her seat at Alex's right hand, the same seat where I'd sat during strategy meetings for the past 2 years. She was wearing the burgundy blazer I'd complimented last week, and her engagement ring, Alex's grandmother's ring, according to office gossip, caught the fluorescent light. Applause rippled through the room, polite but confused. My colleague Marcus shot me a concerned glance. Jennifer from social media looked genuinely shocked. Even Brad, who'd been lobbying for the position himself, seemed stunned by the choice. "Cassie brings a fresh perspective and innovative thinking that will take our team to the next level," Alex continued, his arm casually draped over the back of Cassie's chair. "I know you'll all support her transition into leadership." I managed to keep my expression neutral while my world imploded. That was supposed to be my role. Everyone in the room knew it. I'd been Alex's unofficial second-in-command for 18 months, leading client presentations, mentoring junior staff, and pulling the department through crisis after crisis with my strategic thinking and client relationships. But I'd made one critical error: I wasn't sleeping with the boss. 8 weeks earlier, "Zoe, your Hartwell presentation was phenomenal," Alex said, closing my office door behind him. "The way you repositioned their brand narrative and tied it to millennial purchasing patterns, that's exactly the kind of strategic thinking we need at the director level." I'd been working on the Hartwell account for 6 months, transforming a struggling home goods company into a lifestyle brand that resonated with younger consumers. The campaign had exceeded every metric we'd set. "Thank you, Alex. I really believe in the direction we're taking them." Alex perched on the edge of my desk, a casual gesture that used to feel mentoring but had recently started feeling calculated. "Between you and me, the board is creating a new senior marketing director position. The salary bump would be substantial, we're talking 6 figures, corner office, your own team." My heart raced. "That sounds incredible." "It's practically yours, Zoe. You've earned it." Alex's smile was warm, genuine, the expression of a mentor proud of his protégé's success. "I can't make it official until the budget approval comes through, but I wanted you to know that your hard work hasn't gone unnoticed." For weeks afterward, I threw myself into every project with renewed energy. I stayed late perfecting client strategies, volunteered for high-visibility presentations, and even started mentally decorating my future corner office. Looking back, I realize Alex's promises weren't mentorship. They were manipulation. He needed me to carry the department's workload while he focused on more personal pursuits. 6 weeks earlier. "Team, I'd like you to meet Cassie Walsh, our new creative consultant," Alex announced during our Monday morning meeting. "She'll be working closely with me to bring fresh perspectives to our creative processes." Cassie looked like she'd stepped out of a lifestyle magazine, flowing auburn hair, perfectly applied makeup, and a wardrobe that suggested either family money or expensive taste. She smiled brightly at the room, her hand lingering on Alex's arm as he guided her to an empty chair. "Hi everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to shake things up and bring some innovative thinking to your campaigns." I studied her resume later that day. Bachelor's degree in art history from a small liberal arts college, followed by 3 years as a gallery assistant and 2 years running an Instagram account for a boutique yoga studio. No marketing experience. No business background. No qualifications that explained why Meridian Digital would hire her as a consultant. But she had one qualification that apparently mattered most: she was dating our department head. Within a week, Cassie was attending strategy meetings, offering opinions on campaigns she didn't understand, and somehow always positioning herself next to Alex during presentations. She had no assigned projects, no measurable responsibilities, no clear role beyond bringing fresh perspectives, which seemed to consist mainly of suggesting we make everything more authentic and Instagram-worthy. 4 weeks earlier. The first time Cassie interrupted me during a client pitch, I assumed it was an accident. We were presenting rebranding concepts to Thomson Electronics, a major account I'd been nurturing for months, when Cassie suddenly spoke up. "Actually, I think what Zoe's trying to say is that we need to make Thomson's brand more experiential," she said, cutting off my explanation of target demographic analysis. Like, instead of focusing on technical specifications, we should create emotional connections through storytelling. The client looked confused. I'd spent 20 minutes explaining our comprehensive research showing that Thomson's customers made purchasing decisions based on product reliability and technical superiority, not emotional storytelling. Alex nodded enthusiastically. "Exactly, Cassie. That's the kind of innovative thinking we bring to every account." I managed to salvage the presentation, but afterward, Alex pulled me aside. "You might want to be more collaborative during client meetings. Cassie's insights could really complement your analytical approach." The second incident happened during our weekly team brainstorming session. I was outlining a digital strategy for our pharmaceutical client when Cassie jumped in again. "This is all very technical, but where's the human element? What if we created a social media campaign around real patient stories? Our client is legally prohibited from using patient testimonials in their advertising," I explained patiently. "FDA regulations require that all pharmaceutical marketing rules are made to be broken," Cassie said with a laugh. "Sometimes you have to think outside the box." Alex beamed at her like she'd just solved world hunger instead of suggesting we violate federal advertising laws. I started keeping detailed notes of every meeting, every interruption, every moment when my expertise was dismissed in favor of Cassie's fresh perspective. 3 weeks earlier. The Morrison Group's annual client appreciation dinner was held at the Fairmont Hotel, a black-tie affair designed to showcase our agency's success and strengthen client relationships. I'd helped plan the event, selecting caterers and coordinating presentations, treating it as another opportunity to demonstrate my leadership capabilities. I was returning from the restroom when I heard Alex's voice drifting from the hotel bar's private alcove. He was talking to David Chin, the VP of Business Development, their voices carrying that loose, confident tone of men who'd had several drinks. "Honestly, it just makes sense from a practical standpoint," Alex was saying. "If she's going to be in my bed every night, she might as well be in my department every day. Keeps things simple." I froze, my blood turning to ice. "And she's qualified for this director position?" David asked. Alex laughed, a sound that would haunt me for weeks afterward. "Qualified? David, when has qualification ever been the primary factor in promotion decisions? She's eager, she's fresh, and she makes me happy. Plus, Zoe's been getting a little too comfortable thinking she runs the department. Time to remind her who's actually in charge." My hands shook as I pulled out my phone and started recording, praying the audio quality would be clear enough to capture Alex's casual destruction of everything I'd worked for. "What about the optics?" David asked. "Promoting your girlfriend over more experienced candidates? Who's going to complain? Zoe's too professional to make a scene, and everyone else knows which side their bread is buttered on. Besides, Cassie's going to be my wife soon, might as well start treating her like family." I stood in that hallway for another 10 minutes, recording Alex's detailed explanation of how he planned to restructure the department to accommodate his personal life, how he'd been stringing Zoe along to keep her productivity high, and how he viewed the senior director position as a wedding gift for his future bride. When I finally returned to the dinner, Alex greeted me with his usual mentor smile. "Zoe, I was just telling the Hartwell executives how brilliant your rebrand strategy has been. They're thrilled with the results." I smiled back, my phone heavy in my purse with the weight of his recorded confession. 2 weeks earlier. "I think we need to discuss your recent performance and attitude," Alex said, closing his office door behind me. This was supposed to be my annual review, the meeting where my promotion would become official. I sat across from his desk, the same desk where I'd received praise and mentorship for 3 years, now feeling like a defendant facing judgment. "Alex, I thought we were going to discuss the senior director position today." His expression shifted, taking on the patronizing tone of someone explaining reality to a child. "Zoe, I think you may have misunderstood our previous conversations. While you're certainly a valuable team member, I have some concerns about your readiness for senior leadership." My throat went dry. "What concerns?" Alex opened a folder. When had he started keeping a folder on me, and consulted notes that looked suspiciously recent. "Team members have mentioned that you can be inflexible during collaborative sessions. There's been feedback about your resistance to new ideas and fresh perspectives." "Fresh perspectives like suggesting we violate FDA regulations in pharmaceutical advertising?" "That's exactly what I'm talking about." Alex's voice took on a disappointed edge. "Your tendency to dismiss innovative thinking because it doesn't fit traditional frameworks. Leadership requires adaptability, Zoe." I stared at him, realizing that every moment I'd pushed back against Cassie's inappropriate suggestions had been weaponized against me. My professionalism had been reframed as inflexibility. My expertise had become resistance to innovation. Furthermore, Alex continued, "I've noticed some territorial behavior regarding client relationships and project ownership. True leaders elevate their entire team, not just themselves. I've mentored every junior staff member in this department. I've shared credit on every successful campaign. Perception matters more than intention, Zoe. If team members feel you're not collaborative, that's something we need to address before considering you for senior roles." I left that meeting understanding that the game had changed completely. Alex wasn't just promoting his girlfriend, he was systematically dismantling my reputation to justify it. That night, I listened to the recording from the hotel again, Alex's voice laughing about keeping me productive while planning to replace me. I made 3 copies of the audio file and stored them in different locations. 1 week earlier. Marcus knocked on my office door at 4:47 p.m. on a Friday, his expression grim. He glanced around nervously before stepping inside and closing the door. "Zoe, I need to tell you something, but you didn't hear it from me." My stomach dropped. "What's wrong?" "The senior director announcement is going out Monday morning." "It's Cassie." I laughed, actually laughed, because the alternative was screaming. "That's impossible. There's no way Alex would promote someone with 0 marketing experience to a senior leadership role." Marcus's expression told me everything I needed to know. "She doesn't even know what CTR means," I said weakly. "Last week she asked me to explain the difference between organic and paid social media reach." "I know. We all know." Marcus sat down heavily. "Zoe, everyone in the department knows this is fucked up. But what are we supposed to do? Alex controls our careers." I stared out my office window at the Seattle skyline, watching the Friday evening exodus of workers heading home to their families, their normal lives, their careers that functioned according to merit rather than bedroom politics. Did Alex give any justification for the decision? He said Cassie brings entrepreneurial energy and consumer insights that will drive innovation. A bunch of corporate speak that means nothing. That weekend, I drafted 17 different versions of my resignation letter. By Sunday evening, I had a different plan. Monday morning. I requested a meeting with HR immediately after Alex's announcement. Linda Morrison, no relation to Alex, despite the shared surname, had been with the company for 12 years and had a reputation for fairness and discretion. Linda, I'd like to understand the selection process for the senior marketing director position, I said, keeping my voice professional despite the rage burning in my chest. Linda shifted uncomfortably. Zoe, I understand you may be disappointed, but management has made their decision based on what they believe is best for the department. Can you walk me through the evaluation criteria? Was there a formal interview process? Were other candidates considered? I'm not privy to the specific details of the selection process. That seems unusual for a senior leadership position. Typically, HR would be involved in posting the role, screening candidates, conducting interviews. Linda's silence confirmed what I already knew: there had been no process. Alex had simply decided to promote his girlfriend and expected everyone to accept it. Linda, I'd like to request documentation of the decision-making process. As a current employee who was led to believe I was being considered for this role, I think I'm entitled to understand how the selection was made. I'll need to discuss this with senior management. Of course. I'll also need to schedule a formal complaint meeting to discuss what I believe may be discriminatory promotion practices. Linda's expression sharpened. In HR speak, discriminatory practices meant potential lawsuits and EEOC complaints. Let me look into this and get back to you by the end of the week. She never got back to me. But I noticed that Alex started receiving visits from senior management that same week. That evening, I sat in my apartment with my laptop, a glass of wine, and a decision that would change everything. The audio file from the hotel dinner was queued up, Alex's voice frozen at the moment he'd laughed about keeping me productive while planning my professional execution. I created a new email account, not my work address, not my personal account, but something untraceable. Then I uploaded the audio file to a secure cloud storage service and created a shareable link. The email was simple. To whom it may concern, the attached audio recording was captured at the Morrison Group client dinner 3 weeks ago. It features Alex Morrison, Director of Marketing, discussing his decision to promote his girlfriend Cassie Walsh to Senior Marketing Director. Please listen to the full recording before taking any action. A concerned employee. I added 3 email addresses to the recipient list: CEO Rebecca Torres, Chief Legal Counsel Michael Chung, and Head of Human Resources Patricia Williams. Then I scheduled the email to send automatically at 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, after I'd had time to prepare for the inevitable fallout. Before hitting send, I made one additional copy of the recording and mailed it to my attorney with detailed documentation of the timeline and circumstances. Insurance policy. Tuesday. The email went out at 9 a.m. sharp. By 10:30, my phone was buzzing with a text from an unknown number. Is this Zoe Richardson? This is Amanda Foster. I used to work in marketing. Can we talk? Amanda had left Meridian Digital 8 months earlier, right around the time Alex started his relationship with Cassie. I'd always wondered why she'd quit so suddenly, especially since she'd been one of our strongest performers. We met for coffee at a shop 3 blocks from the office, far enough away to avoid accidental encounters with colleagues. Alex did the same thing to me, Amanda said without preamble. Different woman, same pattern. He promised me the creative director position, had me train my replacement, then promoted his girlfriend instead. My blood ran cold. When was this? Last year. Her name was Brooklyn, some influencer he met at a marketing conference. Suddenly she's our brand strategist despite having never worked in corporate marketing. When I complained to HR, Alex started documenting performance issues that had never existed before. Amanda pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots of text messages, emails, and performance reviews that chronicled the same systematic dismantling of reputation I was currently experiencing. I left because my lawyer said proving discrimination would be nearly impossible without multiple victims willing to testify. But now there's a recording. Amanda smiled grimly. Now there's evidence. Zoe, I'll testify if you need me to. But more importantly, I kept copies of everything, all the documentation of how Alex manipulated my performance reviews, all the emails promising me promotions he never intended to give. How many other women do you think this has happened to? In the 3 years Alex has been department head? I'd guess at least 4 or 5. He has a pattern: identify a high-performing woman, string her along with promotion promises to maximize her productivity, then replace her with whoever he's sleeping with. I thought about the women who'd left our department over the past few years, all of them talented professionals who'd departed suddenly for better opportunities. Amanda, would you be willing to make contact with some of the others? Already started. Turns out, women who've been screwed over by the same man tend to stay in touch. Wednesday. Cassie called her first team meeting as senior marketing director, and I watched her attempt to lead people who knew more about marketing than she'd learn in the next 5 years. So, I've been thinking about how we can really revolutionize our approach, Cassie began, standing at the head of the conference table like she belonged there. I think we need to make everything more authentic, more real. Jennifer from social media asked a reasonable question: what specific metrics are you planning to use to measure authenticity? Cassie's confident smile faltered. Well, it's not really about metrics. It's about feeling, about creating genuine connections with consumers. But how do we report ROI to clients if we're not tracking measurable outcomes? Brad pressed. I watched Cassie flounder, using buzzwords and vague concepts to avoid admitting she didn't understand the fundamentals of marketing strategy. Alex jumped in to rescue her, redirecting the conversation and making excuses for her lack of concrete plans. After the meeting, Cassie approached my desk with a stack of files. Zoe, I'm going to need you to take over the Henderson account, she said, her tone attempting authority she hadn't earned. I know it's not as high profile as your current clients, but I think it's more appropriate for your skill level. The Henderson account was our smallest client, a local restaurant chain with a minimal budget and no growth potential. For the past year, we'd assigned it to junior staff members as a training opportunity. What about the Hartwell account? I asked. I've been leading that campaign since inception, and they specifically requested me for their Q4 strategy. I'll be taking over Hartwell personally. They need fresh leadership and innovative thinking. Fresh leadership. The woman who'd been in marketing for exactly 6 months was taking over my most successful account, the campaign that had generated millions in revenue and earned industry recognition. Cassie, Hartwell's contracts specifically name me as the primary account manager. Their CMO has my direct phone number and expects weekly updates from me personally. That's changing now. I'm sure you'll transfer all your notes and client contacts by end of business today. I smiled sweetly. Of course. I'll make sure everything is thoroughly documented. That afternoon, I created a comprehensive handover document that detailed every strategic decision, every client preference, every relationship dynamic that had made the Hartwell account successful. I also noted every aspect of the campaign that required deep marketing knowledge, strategic thinking, and client relationship management skills. It was a roadmap to failure, disguised as helpful documentation. Thursday. I drafted my resignation letter at 2 a.m., sitting at my kitchen table with my laptop and a growing sense of clarity about what needed to happen next. Dear Alex and senior management, effective immediately, I am resigning from my position as Senior Marketing Associate at Meridian Digital. This decision comes after careful consideration of recent changes in department leadership and my future career prospects within the organization. My final day will be, date 2 weeks from Thursday. Sincerely, Zoe Richardson. It was professional, cordial, and gave no indication of the storm that was about to break. But instead of sending the resignation, I saved it as a draft and attached the hotel audio recording, labeling the file, "Do not open until Friday at 5 p.m. Then I wrote a second email, one that would never see the inside of corporate servers. This one went to Sarah Martinez, an investigative journalist who specialized in workplace discrimination and corporate corruption. Sarah and I had been sorority sisters at UW, and she'd built a reputation for exposing systemic discrimination in Seattle's tech industry. Sarah, I have a story you'll want to hear. Can we meet this weekend? I have audio evidence of systematic promotion discrimination at a major marketing firm, plus multiple witnesses willing to go on record. This could be bigger than just one company, it's about a pattern of behavior that's probably happening everywhere. Zoe. Friday morning. Rebecca Torres had been CEO of Meridian Digital for 18 months, brought in from Amazon to modernize the company's leadership and expand into digital markets. She had a reputation for being data-driven, ethical, and completely intolerant of anything that could expose the company to legal liability. Getting the audio recording to her directly would have been impossible through normal channels. Too many people could intercept or bury the information. But I'd learned that the CEO's executive assistant, Maria Santos, was a member of the Seattle Professional Women's Network, the same organization where I'd been volunteering for 2 years. I reached out to Maria through the network's private LinkedIn group, framing my message as a request for career advice. Maria, I hope you remember me from the SPWN mentorship event last spring. I'm facing a challenging workplace situation and wonder if you might have 15 minutes to offer some guidance. It involves potential discrimination issues that I think senior leadership should be aware of. Would you be available for coffee this weekend? Zoe Richardson, Meridian Digital Marketing. Maria responded within hours, of course. Saturday 10 a.m. at Victrola on Capitol Hill? At our coffee meeting, I laid out the situation carefully, the broken promotion promises, the unqualified girlfriend, the systematic undermining of female employees. Then I played the audio recording. Maria's expression grew darker with each word of Alex's confession. Zoe, this isn't just discrimination, this is a potential lawsuit waiting to happen. Rebecca needs to hear this immediately. I tried going through normal HR channels, but they seem reluctant to investigate management decisions. Because they're scared of Alex's relationship with the Old Boys Network. But Rebecca doesn't play those games. Maria paused the recording. Can you send me this file through an encrypted channel? I'll make sure it gets to Rebecca's personal attention before Monday morning. Will she actually listen to it? Rebecca listens to everything that could impact the company's liability exposure. And Zoe? You should probably prepare for things to move very quickly once she hears this. Monday I arrived at work to find Alex already at his desk, which was unusual since he typically rolled in around 9:30 with a Starbucks and excuses about traffic. His office door was closed, and through the glass walls, I could see him on what appeared to be a very intense phone call. By 10 a.m., he'd received visits from Patricia Williams, head of HR, Michael Chung, chief legal counsel, and Rebecca Torres herself. Each conversation lasted approximately 20 minutes and involved a lot of closed-door discussions and serious expressions. Around noon, Alex emerged from his office and approached my desk with an artificial smile that didn't reach his eyes. Zoe. How are you settling in with your new responsibilities? Fine, thanks. I didn't look up from my computer screen. Listen, I've been thinking about our conversation last week. Maybe I was too hasty in restructuring your role. What would you say to taking on some additional strategic projects? Get you back into higher-level work? Now I looked up. Alex's confident demeanor had been replaced by something that looked suspiciously like panic. What kind of strategic projects? Well, we're pitching the Morrison Group next month. That's a potential $2 million account. I think you'd be perfect to lead the strategy development. The Morrison Group pitch was the kind of opportunity Alex had been systematically removing from my portfolio since Cassie's arrival. Suddenly offering it back suggested he was trying to buy my silence or loyalty. That's interesting. What changed your mind about my readiness for senior-level work? Alex's laugh sounded forced. You know me, Zoe. Always reconsidering and optimizing our team structure. Maybe we moved too fast with some recent changes. Should I expect other changes to be reconsidered as well? His smile faltered completely. Let's just focus on moving forward positively. What do you say we grab lunch tomorrow and discuss your career development more thoroughly? I agreed to lunch, knowing it would never happen. Tuesday. The email came at 8:47 a.m., mandatory all-staff meeting today at 2 p.m., conference room A. Mandatory all-staff meetings were rare at Meridian Digital, typically reserved for major announcements like acquisitions, layoffs, or significant policy changes. The timing, just days after my recording reached senior leadership, couldn't be coincidental. Rebecca Torres stood at the front of our largest conference room, her expression serious and professional. She waited for complete silence before beginning. "Thank you all for accommodating this short-notice meeting. I want to discuss some important changes we're implementing to ensure Meridian Digital maintains the highest standards of professional conduct and fair employment practices." My pulse quickened. Around the room, I could see confused expressions and nervous glances. Effective immediately, we are launching a comprehensive audit of all promotion and hiring decisions made within the past 18 months. This audit will be conducted by an external consulting firm specializing in employment practices and will include interviews with all staff members. The room was dead silent. I risked a glance at Alex, who had gone completely pale. Additionally, we are implementing new policies requiring that all senior-level promotions be reviewed by a committee including HR, department heads, and external oversight. No single manager will have unilateral authority over promotion decisions. Cassie shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Several people were taking notes. These changes reflect our commitment to ensuring that advancement opportunities at Meridian Digital are based solely on merit, experience, and performance. We will not tolerate any practices that undermine equal opportunity employment. Rebecca's gaze swept across the room, lingering briefly on Alex before continuing. "If any employee has concerns about past promotion or hiring decisions, or if you've experienced what you believe to be discriminatory treatment, please contact our external audit team directly. Their information will be distributed after this meeting." As we filed out of the conference room, I heard whispered conversations and speculation about what had prompted such drastic policy changes. Alex disappeared immediately after the meeting, citing a client emergency that required him to work from home. Wednesday. An anonymous memo appeared in every employee's inbox at 6 a.m. To all Meridian Digital staff. Recent events have brought to light concerning patterns in our department's hiring and promotion practices. Multiple female employees have reported incidents of discrimination, favoritism, and retaliation related to advancement opportunities. We encourage anyone who has experienced or witnessed such behavior to cooperate fully with the external audit. Our collective voices can ensure meaningful change. Signed, Concerned Colleagues. The memo included a detailed timeline of suspicious promotions and departures over the past 3 years, with particular attention to the departure of high-performing women following the arrival of new consultants with personal relationships to management. By 9 a.m., Patricia Williams was conducting damage control meetings with senior staff. By noon, the external audit firm had set up temporary offices in our building and begun scheduling interviews. I received my interview request at 2:30 p.m., Thursday 10 a.m., Conference Room C. Alex sent an email to the entire marketing team at 4 p.m., "Due to personal circumstances, I will be taking some time off starting Friday. Please direct all urgent matters to senior management." Cassie's resignation email arrived an hour later. After careful consideration, I've decided to pursue opportunities that better align with my career goals. My last day will be Thursday. The rats were abandoning ship. Thursday. The interview with the external audit team lasted 2 hours. Michael Chung from legal sat in on the session, along with Patricia Williams and 2 investigators from the consulting firm. "Ms. Richardson, we understand you may have information relevant to recent promotion decisions in the marketing department," said Janet Kim, the lead investigator. I placed my phone on the conference table and played the hotel audio recording. The room went dead silent as Alex's voice filled the space, laughing about promoting his girlfriend and keeping me productive through false promises. When the recording ended, Michael Chung spoke first. "Ms. Richardson, do you have any other documentation related to these issues?" I opened my folder and began distributing copies, emails promising me the promotion, performance reviews that contradicted Alex's recent criticisms, client testimonials praising my work, and documentation of Cassie's lack of qualifications. Furthermore, I said, placing a second folder on the table, I'd been in contact with 4 other women who left this company under similar circumstances. They're prepared to provide testimony about identical patterns of behavior. Janet Kim reviewed the documentation carefully. This appears to constitute a clear pattern of discriminatory behavior. Ms. Richardson, were you aware that recording conversations without consent may not be admissible in certain legal proceedings? I was aware of that possibility. However, the recording was made in a public venue where there was no expectation of privacy. Additionally, Mr. Morrison was discussing workplace policies that directly affected my employment status. I believe I had a right to document that information. Michael Chong made notes. Ms. Richardson, this evidence suggests serious violations of company policy and potentially federal employment law. We'll need you to remain available for follow-up interviews as our investigation proceeds. Of course. But I should mention that this wasn't just about me. Alex Morrison has been systematically undermining qualified women for years. If this company is serious about change, we need to look at the bigger picture. The investigation officially launched the next day. Friday evening. My phone rang at 7:23 p.m. I almost didn't answer the unknown number, but something made me pick up. Zoe? This is Cassie. Can we talk? Her voice was shaky, barely above a whisper. I could hear crying in the background. What do you want to talk about, Cassie? I didn't know. About the promotion, about you, about any of it. Alex told me you weren't interested in senior roles, that you preferred individual contributor work. I said nothing. He said you were happy with your current position and that the company needed fresh leadership. I thought I was helping bring new perspectives to the team. Cassie, what did you think happened to all the experienced women who left the department over the past few years? Long pause. He said they found better opportunities elsewhere. That the marketing industry has high turnover. And you believed that qualified professionals just randomly decided to leave successful careers for no reason? I didn't really think about it. Her voice was small. Zoe, I know you probably hate me, but I need you to know that I never meant for any of this to happen. I thought Alex loved me, that we were building something together. What changed your mind? The lawyers contacted me today. They told me about the audio recording, about the investigation. And then I found out about Brooklyn. Brooklyn? His previous girlfriend. The one who got promoted before me. The one he said was crazy and had to be let go for performance issues. Cassie's voice broke completely. Zoe, I think I'm just the latest in a pattern. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Cassie, what are you going to do now? I already resigned. And I'm going to cooperate fully with the investigation. It's the least I can do. The line went quiet. Zoe? I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know that you were right. About everything. You deserved that promotion, and Alex stole it from you to manipulate both of us. I hung up without responding. Some apologies come too late to matter. Monday. The official announcement came via company-wide email at 9 a.m. Effective immediately, Alex Morrison has been placed on administrative leave pending the completion of an internal investigation into departmental management practices. Senior leadership will be assuming direct oversight of marketing operations during this period. All questions should be directed to Patricia Williams in Human Resources. Alex's LinkedIn profile went dark by noon. His company email bounced back as inactive. Security had cleared out his office over the weekend. I watched them carry boxes to a waiting car on Saturday morning. Marcus knocked on my office door around 2 p.m., his expression a mixture of relief and anxiety. So, what happens now? He asked. Now we do our jobs without having to navigate someone's personal drama, I replied. Are you going to apply for Alex's position? I looked around the department. My colleagues who'd been walking on eggshells for months, the junior staff who'd been confused by contradictory leadership, the clients who deserved better than the chaos Alex had created. I don't want Alex's position, I said. I want to build something better. Team morale shifted immediately. People started speaking up in meetings again. Collaboration improved. Client relationships stabilized. Jennifer mentioned that she'd been planning to quit before Alex's departure, but now she was excited about the department's direction. 3 of our former colleagues reached out about returning to the company now that Alex was gone. We were rebuilding from the ground up. Tuesday. The email arrived at 11:47 p.m., sent from Alex's personal Gmail account to my work address. Zoe, I hope you're happy. You've destroyed my career, my relationship, and my reputation over a misunderstanding that could have been resolved professionally. I thought you were better than this kind of vindictive behavior. I guess I was wrong about your character. Alex. I stared at the screen for a full minute, processing the audacity. After months of systematic manipulation, after stealing my promotion for his girlfriend, after undermining my reputation and gaslighting me about my own experiences, Alex Morrison thought he was the victim. I forwarded the email immediately to Michael Chung in legal with a note, additional evidence of Alex Morrison's mindset regarding the discrimination investigation. Please add to the case file. Michael's response came within minutes, thank you. This demonstrates a concerning lack of accountability that supports our findings. Please save the original email and do not respond directly to Mr. Morrison. I didn't need the warning. Alex Morrison had lost the right to my professional courtesy the moment he decided my career was disposable. But I did draft a response. One I never sent but needed to write for my own closure. Alex, you didn't destroy your career over a misunderstanding. You destroyed it by repeatedly violating employment law, discriminating against qualified female employees, and putting your personal relationships above your professional responsibilities. The audio recording I captured was you, in your own words, admitting to exactly the behavior you're now calling a misunderstanding. Your email tonight demonstrates that you still don't. I saved it in my drafts folder, a small piece of catharsis I'd never need to send. Wednesday. Rebecca Torres requested a private meeting at 3 p.m., and I found myself sitting in the CEO's corner office for the first time in my 3 years at the company. The space was modern, minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay. Zoe, I want to personally thank you for bringing this situation to our attention, Rebecca began, her tone direct and professional. The investigation has revealed systematic violations of our employment policies that could have exposed the company to significant legal liability. I'm glad the investigation confirmed what many of us had experienced firsthand. Based on the audit findings and recommendations from our legal team, we're restructuring the marketing department entirely. We're creating an interim marketing director position while we conduct a proper search for permanent leadership. My pulse quickened. What kind of timeline are you considering? The interim position would begin immediately and last approximately 6 months while we rebuild departmental processes and conduct a national search for the permanent role. Rebecca leaned forward. Zoe, I'd like to offer you the interim position. I felt a surge of vindication and opportunity, but also caution. What would that entail? Full management authority over the department, budget oversight, client relationship management, and leadership of the rebuilding process. The salary would be commensurate with director-level compensation. And after the 6-month interim period? You'd be welcome to apply for the permanent position, along with other qualified candidates. Your performance during the interim period would obviously be a significant factor in that decision. I thought about the past months of manipulation and gaslighting, about the career trajectory Alex had stolen from me, about the other women who'd left the company rather than fight. Rebecca, I need you to understand something. I'm not interested in this position as compensation for what Alex did. I want it because I'm qualified, because I have a vision for this department, and because I can deliver results. Rebecca smiled, the first genuine smile I'd seen from her. That's exactly why I'm offering it to you. Zoe, you could have taken a settlement and walked away quietly. Instead, you chose to fight for systemic change. That's the kind of leadership this company needs. When would you need an answer? Take the weekend to consider it. But Zoe, this isn't about making amends. This is about recognizing talent and giving you the opportunity you've already earned. I accepted the position on Thursday morning. 1 month later. The confidential meeting with Rebecca and the legal team took place in a secure conference room, with documents marked attorney-client privilege spread across the table. Michael Chong had requested my presence to discuss the final resolution of the Alex Morrison investigation. Zoe, the investigation is complete, and we need to brief you on the full scope of what we discovered, Michael began. Alex Morrison violated federal employment law, company policy, and his fiduciary duty to the organization. But more importantly, his actions created significant legal exposure for Meridian Digital. Rebecca took over. We identified 7 women over 3 years who experienced similar discrimination under Alex's management. 4 of them left the company, 2 transferred to other departments, and you stayed to fight. What's the legal outcome? Alex Morrison has been terminated for cause and will not receive severance pay. He's agreed to a settlement that includes non-disclosure provisions but admits no wrongdoing, standard corporate language. Michael pulled out a thick folder. However, we need you to understand something crucial. That audio recording you made didn't just document discrimination, it potentially saved this company from a class action lawsuit. I felt a chill. How so? 3 of the women who left under Alex's management had already contacted employment attorneys. If your recording hadn't surfaced when it did, we could have been facing a multi-million-dollar discrimination suit with 7 plaintiffs and documented patterns of systematic bias. Rebecca leaned forward. Zoe, your decision to fight rather than walk away prevented a legal catastrophe that could have destroyed this company's reputation and financial stability. I didn't do it to save the company. I did it because it was right. We know. But the outcome speaks to something important about your judgment and character. Rebecca paused. The permanent marketing director search is scheduled to conclude next month. I want you to know that you're not just a candidate, you're the candidate. The interim period has been a trial run, and you've exceeded every expectation. Michael handed me a sealed envelope. This contains the formal offer for the permanent position. Salary, benefits, equity participation, everything reflects your value to this organization. I opened the envelope and felt my heart stop. The compensation package was 40% higher than what Alex had been making. One final thing, Rebecca said. We're implementing new policies company-wide based on what we learned from this situation. Anonymous reporting systems, external oversight for all promotions, mandatory bias training for managers. Your fight created change that will protect every employee in this company. Looking back, I realized that my decision to document and fight Alex's discrimination hadn't just saved my career, it had transformed an entire corporate culture. 6 weeks later. The internal blog post took me 3 days to write. I revised it 12 times, showing drafts to trusted colleagues and legal counsel before finally publishing it on the company's internal communication platform. Merit shouldn't be optional, lessons from our recent changes. 6 months ago, I believed that hard work and competence were sufficient for career advancement. I trusted that managers made decisions based on performance, qualifications, and potential. I assumed that promotion processes were fair, transparent, and designed to identify the best candidates for leadership roles. I was wrong. Over the past year, our marketing department experienced systematic discrimination that prioritized personal relationships over professional merit. Qualified employees were passed over for advancement while unqualified individuals received opportunities they hadn't earned. This wasn't just unfair, it was illegal. But here's what I learned: staying silent doesn't protect anyone. Walking away doesn't solve the problem. Change requires people willing to document injustice, speak truth to power, and fight for systemic reform even when it's uncomfortable and risky. The investigation and policy changes we've implemented aren't just about correcting past wrongs, they're about ensuring future fairness. Every employee deserves to know that their advancement depends on their contribution, not their connections. To my colleagues who supported this fight, thank you for proving that integrity matters more than politics. To anyone facing similar situations, document everything, build your network of allies, and remember that your voice has power when used for justice. To the leadership team, thank you for choosing transparency over cover-up, accountability over convenience. We've built something better here. Let's keep building. Zoe Richardson, Director of Marketing. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, I had dozens of comments from employees across the company, women sharing their own experiences, men expressing support for the changes, managers committing to fair practices. Several comments made me cry. Thank you for fighting for all of us. Jennifer M., Social Media. You gave me hope that reporting discrimination actually matters. Lisa K., Business Development. As a manager, this post reminded me why fair promotion practices aren't just policy, they're moral imperative. David R., Operations. The post was shared on LinkedIn by employees and picked up by industry publications as an example of corporate accountability and employee advocacy. 2 weeks later, I received an invitation to speak at the Seattle Women in Business Conference about workplace discrimination and systemic change. 2 months later, the permanent promotion ceremony was small but meaningful. Just the senior leadership team and my immediate colleagues gathered in Conference Room A, the same space where Alex had announced Cassie's fraudulent promotion 6 months earlier. Rebecca Torres handed me a new business card, Zoe Richardson, Director of Marketing, Meridian Digital. But more important than the title was what it represented, a position earned through merit, achieved through perseverance, and secured by refusing to accept injustice. Zoe, in the 6 months since you've been leading this department, we've seen 23% improvement in client satisfaction, 15% increase in new business acquisition, and 0 turnover among existing staff, Rebecca announced to the group. You've not only rebuilt this department, you've made it stronger than it's ever been. Marcus started a round of applause that felt different from the confused clapping that had greeted Cassie's announcement. This was genuine celebration from colleagues who'd watched me earn every aspect of this advancement. After the ceremony, I stood in my new corner office, the space I'd mentally decorated months earlier when Alex was stringing me along with false promises. But the reality was better than my fantasy. The office represented not just professional achievement, but personal victory over systemic discrimination. I kept the audio recording file on my computer, not for revenge, but as a reminder. A reminder that documentation matters, that truth has power, and that sometimes fighting back is the only way to create change. On my desk, I placed a small framed quote, "The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off." It had certainly done both. 1 year later. The boardroom felt different now. As I sat at the head of the polished conference table, leading the quarterly marketing review for senior leadership, I remembered the last time I'd presented to this group, 8 months ago, desperately trying to explain why promoting Alex's girlfriend had been a catastrophic decision. Today, I was presenting record-breaking results. Client retention is at 94%, our highest level in company history, I reported, clicking through slides that told the story of systematic rebuilding. New business acquisition has increased 31% year over year, and our team satisfaction scores are in the 95th percentile industry-wide. Rebecca Torres nodded approvingly. Zoe, what do you attribute these improvements to? Hiring based on qualifications rather than personal relationships. Promoting people who've earned advancement through performance. Creating clear career development paths so everyone knows what they're working toward. I paused. Essentially, we've implemented the merit-based system that should have existed all along. After the presentation, I walked through the marketing department, my department, and saw what we'd built from the ashes of Alex's destruction. The team included several new hires, all of them qualified professionals who'd been attracted to our reputation for fairness and excellence. 3 of the women who'd left under Alex's management had returned to the company in other departments. Jennifer from social media had been promoted to senior social media strategist. Marcus was now creative director. Brad, who'd initially resented my promotion, had become one of my strongest supporters after realizing that merit-based advancement benefited everyone. Most importantly, we'd established processes that would prevent another Alex Morrison from destroying careers for personal gain. Anonymous feedback systems, external oversight for all promotions, and mandatory training on unconscious bias and professional conduct. My phone buzzed with a LinkedIn message from Amanda Foster, saw the company's Best Places to Work recognition in the Seattle Times. "You've built something amazing. Thank you for fighting when I couldn't." That evening, I sat in my home office, reviewing proposals for the next quarter's campaigns. On my wall hung 2 framed items, my university diploma and a printed copy of the email chain that had started this entire battle, the one where Alex promised me a promotion he never intended to give. I kept it not as a bitter reminder, but as proof that sometimes justice delayed is not justice denied. Sometimes it's justice perfected. The doorbell rang, and I found Sarah Martinez on my doorstep, holding a bottle of champagne and a folder of documents. "Remember that story you gave me about systematic workplace discrimination?" she said with a grin. "It's being picked up nationally. 3 other companies have implemented similar policy changes after your story went public. You started something bigger than just fixing one department." We toasted to systemic change, to the power of documentation, and to the simple radical act of refusing to accept injustice. Later, alone in my kitchen, I raised my glass one final time to the woman I'd been a year ago, the one who'd been too professional to make a scene, too trusting to see manipulation, too afraid to rock the boat. She'd learned to make waves instead. And those waves had changed everything.